y'all. Welcome back to Only Hope Podcast. I'm your host, Caroline Thornton, and today I have a very special guest, Alexis Brown. She has her own podcast, actually, called Praises in the Pod, and it's been very successful, and she just has a really cool testimony, and we know that there's so much power in testimony, so I wanted to have her come on and share her testimony. But first, since she's a guest, I'm going to have her, I found this little children's Bible trivia thing at this thrift store, and I thought this would be fun. Let's test out some trivia, some Bible trivia.
It's so
children's.
I'm
it's
worried.
Children's. It should work. It shouldn't be too hard.
That's what makes it worse, though. Like,
I know, it is.
Should I know this? Like, I just want to also say that I am still a child Christian. Like, I'm a baby Christian. So
yeah.
let's try it out.
Hey, I mean... look, I was going through this with my husband, and I was like, some of them were very easy, and then some of them I'm like, I have to look this up. I don't know.
Okay.
It does tell you on the back, so if neither of us know, we should be able to look it up still. Okay, let's try an easy one to start off. What did Adam and Eve use the fig leaves for?
Oh, for clothes, to cover themselves.
Yes, perfect. Okay, name the husband of Sarah.
Isn't it Abraham?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, wait, is that easy? Is that too easy? Okay, yes.
Yeah, I'm asking easy ones here. There's some that are like fill in the blank for this like verse, and I'm like, that's too much. And it's like King James, so it's like thy rod. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna skip that. Which book of the Bible comes before Proverbs?
Oh man, I do not know that.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Psalms.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should have known that.
No, you're fine. Okay, one last one. I'm going to ask you this one. These are Old Testament, so these are a little harder. What did Joseph's brothers throw him into?
Didn't he go into like some type of slavery? Because then he becomes, I don't know what it was thrown into though. Was it a pit?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. It says like a pit or a well. I was thinking a ditch or something. It's, basically, yeah.
Period.
They like threw him into a pit and then he got sold to slavery.
Yes.
So.
Man, okay.
Yeah, okay, you did good.
I need that.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. I did actually get this, like, it was similar to that. It was Bible questions.
Yeah.
And off a TikTok shop, because I was like, I really want to learn more.
Yeah.
And I'm good at, like, doing flashcards. You know? So,
yeah, I'm like,
really
it's kind of fun to, like, have, like, a game to play, too. I love games.
Love.
Okay, so, let's just get started. Let's dig into, like, your background, childhood. We can start with that and go from there.
Awesome. So, I was born right into the world as my parents were addicts. Okay. So 2 days after my mom had me, like, she was clean and sober all through her pregnancy, like, all of that. And 2 days after, she went back and started doing crack again. I don't know how far I can get on this. Like, I'm so sorry.
No, go for it.
But this is like, when I go and tell my testimony, like, I just always say that because that was just a pivotal moment, because my grandparents stepped in and they raised me. They did. Like, I never went without. They showed me exactly what life was supposed to be like. Like, we never skipped a beat. I played softball, every sport. I did everything growing up. Nice. My dad...
Was your mom young when she had you?
No, she was as young as 24.
Okay, that's young.
It is young.
So your grandparents were still young.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, they did everything for me. Like, I could never show enough love for them. Yeah. But my dad, my biological father, was not in the picture. I knew of him here and there, but my mama always, like, wanted better. Yeah. Like, she always was around trying as much as she could, but she was in and out of rehabs and stuff like that growing up. And so when I got into middle school, my mom did go to a program, and it was called the Golden Rule. Okay. And it was in Georgia, and it was just like, she learned about God. She learned that relationship and just did all she could. She was still trying to do it on her own strength. So it just didn't last very long, but she met a man during that time period that adopted me. And he was
they were in like a relationship?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, it wasn't a random man. No, but they got married. They dated for a while. They got married.
Stepfather.
Yes. He was my stepfather, and then he adopted me.
Okay.
And so between him and my grandparents, like, I never went without. But when I got to high school, I played softball growing up my whole entire life. And when I got to high school, I wasn't the best anymore. Like, I struggled with that because I put my identity in sports. I thought that if my home life isn't great, at least I can have sports and it takes my mind off of that. So when I did get to high school and I realized that I wasn't the best, I spiraled. Like my identity was just torn. I was just like not well. So I ended up ninth grade. I started drinking, smoking pot, smoking cigarettes. I did lose my virginity young, and just started trying to find that validation from men. Or boys at this point, not men. But later on down the road, I would catch myself in situations with grown men that truly should have had them in jail. Like me being, even when I was like 22, 23, like I remember being with guys that old and I was in high school. And it's like, that's, y'all are predators, you know? But back then I'm like, oh, older men like, you know, and so
that's a good thing.
That's when my party life really began, and it just got deeper and deeper. So yeah, that's just kind of my early years. Do I just want to go right in?
Yeah, go right in. Go for it.
Sorry. So like Caroline said, like I do have a podcast, so I'm always talking, right? So if I talk too much, just cut me off.
No, you're fine. Go for it.
So out of high school, I go to college. I went to a community college, and then I transferred and went to Fort Valley State University to play softball. In that time, I did get engaged at a young age. It did not work out at all. And I left him for a partier. And when I did that, my life truly spiraled. We were toxic towards one another. We were abusive towards one another, mentally, physically, emotionally, like all of the above. And then I was already a regular at bars at this point. It was just not a situation I should have ever been in, but I became a regular at a young age, and then I got kicked off the softball team because I couldn't get out of the bar, and I couldn't pass my classes, and I couldn't do all this. So that was just horrible. As time went on, about a year after that relationship ended, I met my now husband, and we partied together. That is what our foundation was built on, was being at the bar, going out, hanging out with our friends that partied, and we were worldly yoked together. We wanted the same things in life, but it involved partying and doing all this stuff. And so as we just grew.
So, quick question.
Okay,
so
good.
You grew up in Warner Robins.
Yes.
So your mom grew up there. Your grandparents were there.
Born and raised, never left.
And then at this point, you went to college. Are you back in your?
Well, I went to college, but it was like 20 minutes down the road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I still lived at home and drove back and forth, like all of that.
Were you living with your mom then, or your grandparents?
I was living with my dad, my adoptive dad.
Okay.
Yes, I was living with him, basically living with my boyfriend as well at the time, like every Wednesday to Sunday, like I was at his house. Yeah. Do not recommend. If you have young listeners, do not.
Yes, don't do it.
I'm not condoning it. Yes. I'm just telling you how far God has brought me. But yeah, so me and my husband were partying, all this stuff. Yeah. My drinking got severely worse over the years, to the point where every time I drank, I blacked out. I fell constantly. Like, if you saw me,
you were just falling all over the place.
I'm just falling. Like, I'm already a clumsy-ish person anyway, but then, like, once I was intoxicated, it was just...
You couldn't stand.
I couldn't stand. Wow. I would knock into everything, and then it got to the point where I wouldn't come home. Like, I would stay at the bar until close. Finally, my friend or something, maybe an Uber, would take me home.
So were you, like, falling asleep at the bar?
No.
Oh, you were, like,
I just was staying out, yes. But my husband would literally, like, be like, okay, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And I would say, no, I'm still here. I'm having fun. Like, I was friends with the bartenders, all this. So I never wanted to leave. And so that did come around, and God got my attention. And that was... Now, let me preface. I get ahead of myself. I'm sorry. I knew of God. Like, I truly... Like, I went to church somewhat growing up. Like, we weren't a religious household. We didn't have a intimate relationship with Jesus Christ, but we did go to church on those big holidays and stuff like that. So I knew of him, but my mom had went to rehab it's not rehab, it's a discipleship program. Okay. It's called the Potter's House, and they're in Milner, Georgia. Very small town, but it's not a rehab for them. It's a discipleship program. And when my mom went there, my life changed because I watched God move in her life. Like, she started radiating God. Like, every single time she would walk in a room, like, and I'm biased because it's my mom, but like, truly, she just radiated Jesus. And
people have that glow to them. Yeah,
they do. Yeah, and you can't explain it. Like, you just see them and you're like, wow. You know?
And that's what's so cool about, like, when people change like that, especially if it's a drastic change like your mom, where it's just like, okay, that's what's so, that is a walking testimony to be like, okay, you used to be this way. Why are you walking around looking like this now? Like, what did you do? What changed?
Exactly. Yeah. And so when I witnessed her change, I was like, man. And then she has a big God story. But basically, he called her name literally in the sand and just, anyway. But that's the first time I witnessed God and like saw what how powerful he truly was. Like, it's supernatural. Yeah. So, in this time, jumping back to going to the bar and stuff like that, I fell and busted my lip when I got home from the bar. It was about 2 a.m. and I fell down in my kitchen, busted my lip wide open. I couldn't get up because I was so intoxicated. My husband was asleep and all I could do was lay there, like, in my puddle of blood. I was unconscious, basically.
Oh my gosh.
And my stepdaughter, I have 2 stepchildren and they're adults. Yeah. And my stepdaughter just happened to be riding around at 2 and 3 o'clock a.m., right? Me and her used to do this. Like, we just jump in a car, and if we don't have anything to do, we just love to ride around, ride by our friend's house, see who's over there, you know? Just being girly girls. And so I guess she was doing that night, and she also, like, took some of her friends home that were out, and she just happened to ride by my house and found me. Like, she saw that the garage was open. She saw that lights were on. She came in, and she's like, Alexis, and I'm just like, like, I'm over here, help.
Oh my gosh.
And so she was just such an angel.
Wow,
like,
that really is.
Yeah, like, God sent her. Yeah. But I had done a lot of stupid things in my life, and I have done just far terrible things, like, just awful things. But that time, God got my attention. Like, I was scared. Yeah. Like, I was like, wow, what if Ainsley wouldn't have came? Yeah. What if, like, I had to lay there, or, like, just everything imaginable. So that was, like, a pivotal moment again in my life. But me and my husband were also going through infertility at this point. And am I talking too much?
No, go for it. Go for it, girl. Okay. I am enjoying this. Go for it.
I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going through infertility at this time. And, you know, every woman, 95% dream of being a mom.
Oh, yeah.
And that was just a heavy burden that I was carrying because, like, that consumes me. Yeah. Like, I now was turning and trying to put my identity in wanting to be a mom so bad. Yeah. Me and my husband are struggling at this point, and my mom invited me to go to a women's conference. And so I go to this women's conference.
So when you were going through this infertility, were you still drinking and stuff?
Yes.
Then? Okay.
Yes. Both of me and my husband. Yeah. And so we ended up...
Another quick question.
Okay, yeah, please.
So what did your husband think? Like, did you tell him about how you, like, busted your lip and stuff? Like, he
found me. Well, as soon as my stepdaughter got there, she ran and got him because it was really bad. Yeah. Like, so bad. They were like, you need to go to the emergency room. It was split wide open all the way down. Wow. And
like, what was he thinking? Like, he's drinking too, partying, but, like, was he like, dang, you're kind of out of control? Like, what was he thinking there?
He knew probably that I was in a bad situation, like, but he always had this, like, mindset of, like, who am I to say anything because I'm drinking too, kind of. And we've had that conversation about him and some other family members and stuff, and we're just like, you can't really say a whole lot because you're doing the same thing. I get that. But like, it was just, we weren't in a good spot even then. Yeah. You know, so it's crazy that we weren't already in a good spot, but I wanted a baby so bad that I'm like, oh, it'll fix us, you know, like.
I know. We think that stuff works.
Yes. It doesn't. And that just wasn't ideal. Yeah. But now looking back, I see God moving the puzzle and putting it together and working together. Truly, Romans 8:28, working all things together for his good. Yeah. And so, we were in that season. Yeah. And my mom invited me to go to a women's conference. And it was just the most amazing weekend. Like, every song we worshiped to, like, I was like, oh my gosh, it's speaking to me. Yeah. Every message, I'm like, God was revealing himself more and more. And I'm like, wow.
That's so cool.
There was a doctor that was there, her Charmel, and now I'm going to start calling her my Ananias, because truly, like, she stepped out of her comfort zone and had a conversation with me, and she was so scared and all this stuff, but it truly changed my life. And we were talking about infertility, and I was like, we're seeing specialists and all this, like, but I'm being torn by, like, if it's God's will, then I shouldn't be seeing specialists, like, and all this, like, and I'm not saying that, just hang on, hang tight, like, but, like, I was torn about it at that moment. Like, I wasn't even surrendered. I wasn't following God, but I just had this feeling. So I talked to her, and she was like, you're so young. Like, I know you don't feel like that.
How old were you then?
This is 26. I'm 27. I'm 27 at the time. She was like, you're young. I promise you, you think you're getting close to 30. Like, you can have kids all the way up. Like, don't be worried about that. And so I was like, okay. And she said, sometimes this is where it was pivotal for me. I keep using the word pivotal.
No, I love it. Go for it. It's sometimes like...
There's so many pivots in my life.
Yeah. And for me, I'm like, sometimes there's a word that just is perfect for what you're trying to describe. And so it's like, you have to keep using it. It's fine. Go for it.
So it was just a big turning moment in my life. She said, sometimes God gives us things that are too heavy for us so that we turn around and give it back to him. Okay. And I was like,
ooh, I love that.
That preached. Okay. Yes, I'm like, that is amazing.
I need to write that down. That is good.
It is. Yeah. I actually, side quest just for a moment, I actually interviewed her recently, and I told her that was such a big thing for me. And she said, you know what was so crazy? The moment that I said it, it wasn't for me, because I'd never said that before. Yeah. And she said, I knew that God was speaking to you. And that's just how God equips us.
Yes, he does.
We always think that we're inadequate or we're not worthy and all this stuff. And obviously we never can truly be worthy, but God tells us that we are. Yeah. And just like, he's going to equip us, and he's going to speak to us and through us. Anyway.
I've had those moments where I'm just like, someone's like, that was so good. And I'm like, I don't know where that came from. That wasn't from me.
Literally, I've never said that.
I was like, I've never even thought this before. That was not for me.
Yes, girl, I feel that. So, anyway, she's like, I want you to go home and seek the Lord about it. And so the next day I go home, and I'm writing in my journal at this point, and I said, Lord, please, like, I need to hear from you. Please tell me, am I going to be a mother? And so I was always raised, not always raised, but since my mom, came to this side of Christ, she's like, open up your Bible and just let God speak to you. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. So I open up my Bible, and I open up in John, and it said, children born. Now listen, I'm praying about a child, right? Yeah. So he says, children born of not natural descent or human decision or a husband's will, but born of God. And so literally I'm like, whoa. God spoke.
I don't even remember ever seeing that in John.
Me neither, girl. Like, if you wouldn't have just said that, I could tell you what the numbers are, what verse, but truly, like, when I've told people that, they're like, I don't remember reading that. And I'm like, it's there, because I read it. Yeah. And, like,
it's just something that we've all, like, skipped past, but it was speaking to you in that moment.
100%. Yeah, like, amazing. He instantly, my spirit was so just at peace. Yeah. And it's one of those, like, the peace that surpasses all understanding. Yep. I just truly was just rocked in the best way possible. Yeah. So I knew without a shadow of doubt I was going to be a mother. I didn't know what that looked like, but I knew it wasn't up to me and my husband. It was God's time. Yeah. So the next day rolls around, and I'm like, God, but you do give us doctors. This is where the doctors come in, because I'm like, no, like, I can't go off of just science and whatever, like, God, I need you to tell me, do I need to continue to see a specialist? Because you do give us doctors for a reason. You do give us medicine and all this stuff. Should I continue? But then I specifically started praying about money, because we've already started seeing a specialist, and they're saying, like, it's going to be $20,000+. Yeah. That's like, this is cheap. Just like a round of, like, just whatever. Yeah. And I was like praying about that. And so I opened up my Bible again to Acts 8:20, and it said, may your money perish with you because you thought you could buy the gift of God with money. And literally, so back to back, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I surrendered right then. I would say that I surrendered the day before, but the next day when he said that, like, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that God knew me.
Yeah.
He spoke to me. He knew the desires of my heart, and he is the same God that spoke in the Old Testament as he is today.
Yes, yeah.
So I was radically changed. And that...
So were you saved before that moment?
I tussle with this a lot. If you ask me today, I was going to hell before that. 100%. I do not think that I was saved. I knew of Jesus, like I said, but you can know the Bible. I mean, he literally says that, depart from me, I never knew you.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, I'm blanking, but basically they're saying, but I did all this in your name. I cast out demons in your name. And okay, like,
but
that's
there was no relationship.
There was no relationship.
Yeah.
He didn't I didn't have an intimate relationship with him. And so I would say 100% I was not saved. But it was April 23rd, 2023. And I said, here it is, Lord. Like, I want to be your vessel. Like, I want you to truly lead and guide me.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I will not say I've been on a mountaintop the whole entire time.
No.
At all.
We know that.
It started out great. I remember people always were like, just wait. And I'm like, no, y'all, I'm good. Like, I am on cloud 9. I'm loving the Lord. But it did start taking a turn in my marriage. Yeah. That's where it started getting ugly.
So when did you stop drinking?
I surrendered in April. Yeah. I stopped drinking in August.
Okay.
Well, no. My last drink was the first weekend of September of 2023. So I'm down to the day. I stopped. I went to a party, my friend's birthday party, and I had one drink at dinner. And I said, what was the purpose of that?
Yeah.
Why would I still continue to entertain those things? If I'm wanting to be different and I'm wanting a different life, why would I continue to even just like tempt myself?
Yeah, I get that.
So that was my last drink.
That's amazing.
And then I was also a smoker and stuff like that. And so once that happened, the sanctification started there, and God just continued to work on my heart. And then finally I was like, you know what? The same thing with the vape. Like, I don't want to hide things from people. I don't want to feel like when I go places, like, oh my gosh, I can't hit my vape. I can't smoke. I can't do this. So like in November of 2023, so 2 months later, I put down my vape and haven't smoked since too. So
that's great. Because sometimes, it's slower for people. And it seems like that was pretty fast for you.
Yes. And that is why I always say I was a radical change.
Yeah.
And it's not the same for everybody. Yeah. Like, we all have our different walks of life.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, when I talk to women or men more so, but I'm like, women, please.
Yeah.
Like, that's where my heart lies.
Yeah.
I truly want people to encounter and experience Jesus the way that I have.
Yeah.
And so that's my biggest thing. And so I just tell people, I'm like, don't put your timetable on mine.
Yeah.
Like, just seek the Lord.
Yeah.
Like Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom and all of his righteousness, and all those things will be added to you. Yeah. If you're getting this right, eventually this will be right.
Yeah.
So if you just work on your relationship with Jesus Christ, he's going to weed all that out. He's going to prune you.
Yes. And like each like small little conviction will come.
Yes.
And then you'll be like, okay, let me drop this. Then another one comes. You're like, oh, okay, I need to fix this
Girl,
too,
Yes.
And it happens for the rest of our lives, basically.
Yes, and that's what I tell people, because my convictions and my sins that I struggle with today are not the same convictions or sins that I had back then.
Yeah,
like, I talk about this all the time. TV shows, they get me, girl. They get me.
Yeah.
Like, I tried to watch a TV show recently, and I'm like, I'm so convicted about it.
I know. That has been me recently. We're literally like, a month ago, for like 2 weeks, I feel like the Lord was like, you can't watch TV. And I was like, why? What am I supposed to do? Like,
I know.
I was like, okay. And then like after that, I was like, I'm not watching TV the same. Like everything, I turned something on, I'm like, I can't watch this anymore.
I know.
Ever since then, I'm like, I'm just like, ugh, this is all filthy and stuff. And I'm like, I didn't even see it that way before I did like that 2 weeks of no TV.
It is so crazy, because scales truly just continue to fall off, and you just get more spiritual eyes and ears, and your heart just becomes softened to things. And I'm like, there went something else, you know? God's just taking this out and taking this out, and that'll never stop.
Yeah, so, for sure. I mean, it goes down to like little things, even where like I used to be convicted of other things, and now I'm just like, was that gossip? And like, I'm like thinking about all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, even like before I gossiped, and like my heart was in it. Now I'm not even trying to gossip, but I still feel that conviction, like, maybe that was a little gossipy. And then I'm like, I need to repent for that.
I know, girl. Sometimes I'm like, hang on, did this happen to me?
Yeah.
Or did it happen to somebody else? Because if I was not involved in it, then why am I talking about it? Now listen, I'm still going to struggle. That's one thing that I do struggle with, but God does truly like... He clocks my teeth.
Yeah. There's like literally been times where I'm like saying something, I'm like,
never mind. And
my mouth is like shut. I'm just like, oh, I was about to say that, but I cannot say that anymore. Okay.
I get that, girl.
Okay, Holy Spirit.
You got me. I'm
like, okay. So, once you stopped drinking, what was that like for you? Like, was your husband still drinking? Was that difficult to be like living with him while he's still drinking?
No, it was not. It was not difficult for me. The vaping was, because my husband did still vape.
Okay.
And so I remember the first 3 days I had quit. We were in a car. We were in the car going to some furniture place, and he hit his vape, and I was like, my chest got tight, and like I started like feeling withdrawal, like.
But you didn't feel that before.
I didn't feel that before. But I was only like 3-4 days off the vape. And so I was like, oh, please. I started screaming and crying. I was like, please do not do that. Alcohol never affected me. I think one of my friends, I talked to him and his wife, is one of my lifelong friends. And we were just having a conversation one day, and he was like, that's the difference in like true repentance. Like, you were cleansed of that, and you knew without a shadow of a doubt that that wasn't going to be a sin that you struggled with anymore. And when he said that, I was like, that is true, because I never thought about drinking again. Like, I never really even like entertained the idea of it. And so that didn't bother me.
Yeah.
But it's also like,
maybe it's also like, it's so much more easy to see, like, okay, I'm drinking and I'm like getting blacked out. I'm like doing these things. That's a lot easier to see that like there's a bad effects to it versus like vaping. You're not acting wild as much when you're vaping, you know? So,
and I truly was dependent on the Lord at this time. Like, that's what I tell people. I'm like, I have no inkling of how I did it and how I just stopped cold turkey, all those things. But like, I was in my word. I was constantly in prayer. I was constantly seeking God of like, how do I continue to be different than what I was yesterday? And I do have like that personality where I get hyper fixated on things. And I was worried at the beginning, like, oh, this is just a hyper fixation. But with the Lord, like, he just showed me, like, maybe it did start that way, but like, you came to know me through that.
Yeah, and it's like when you are weak, he is strong. And you were able to use his strength.
Yes, that, absolutely. Yeah. I was so dependent on his strength alone. So yeah, that wasn't hard, being around him, smoking and vaping or drinking. It was probably harder for him in the transition than me.
Okay, interesting.
Because I did radically change.
Yeah.
And we did spend a lot of time at the bar. We spent a lot of time drinking. We would go out to eat every night and get drinks or then go home. And so for him, he felt
that
like...
lifestyle is like a big difference.
Yeah, he's like, what do you mean we're not going to George Bob's anymore? And George Bob's just a restaurant. It's not a bar. But we treated it like a bar. Yeah. He's like, what do you mean we're not going? Or like, you can't have a drink. Like, he didn't understand. Yeah. And we truly were unequally yoked at this point. And so for a year and a half, it was a constant battle. Like, we talked about divorce many times. We were at divorce. And I just, like, there's nothing that I can say to paint the picture of how bad our marriage was. Because you just can't explain it, I guess, you know?
So, like, was the biggest problem, you would say, just the fact that you were changing and he wasn't, and he was wanting you to, like, go back to the way you were?
Yeah. He says he didn't, like, he was so glad that I stopped drinking. Because I told you, like, he'd beg me to come home. I always blacked out. He was always having to take care of me. Like, I would fall asleep on our bathroom floor regularly. wake up in there. Like, it was just awful.
Yeah.
And so he was like glad I stopped drinking.
Yeah.
But he's like, you're changing too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you're not the same person anymore. You're not the person I married.
That is difficult.
Yeah.
I see how that would be difficult. It's like, this is the foundation you built your marriage on.
Exactly.
So that is difficult, yeah.
Yeah. So it just progressively would get worse.
And was he, like, what's his background? You don't have to go into too much, but, like, did he grow up in church? Like, did he know of God and things like that before this?
He wasn't really raised in church.
Okay.
Like, he didn't know God. Like, I think the best way to put it, and he doesn't say this about himself, so hey honey, if you're listening, he's so supportive now. We will get there.
Yeah,
How long, or am I good, girl?
No, you're good. Go for it.
Okay. My biggest thing is now putting a word to it. He was agnostic.
Okay.
He assumed that there was probably a higher power. He just didn't know what that higher power was. He was like, I'm sure there's something, but like, I'm not jumping into all that.
Yeah.
And so watching me, he's like getting annoyed basically, because
that would
like,
definitely be hard if you didn't even have like that foundation of God or Jesus at all. And you're like not a spiritual person at all, to then like your spouse is radically changed and you're just like, what just happened?
Yeah. Truly, because like I said, I mean, it's a light switch for me. Like, I'm radically changed. And so he just hated it. He hated every bit of it. I would honestly almost say he hated me. Like, that's so hard to say. But it makes to be sense, honest, kinda. I disliked him too.
Yeah, because you're like, why aren't you changing with me?
Yeah, and they always say that your family is the hardest people to minister to. Yeah. And that is what hurt me the most, is because I was a different person outside of the four walls, where I did feel like a hypocrite. People noticed big changes in me. They saw the difference, and like, they were such big supporters of me. They're like, wow, look at you. Like, not in a braggart way or anything like that. Just like saying like they noticed the difference. Like, people were cheering for me. Like, they were like, awesome. But then I go home and my husband's like, this is awful. You know? And so then darkness would almost consume me to the point where like, I was a different person at home. Like,
I get that,
I'm cussing, I'm hollering.
That would be hard.
You know, I'm not being very Jesus-like at home. And so that tore me apart.
Yeah. I mean, that would be hard though, because it's when you're so excited about, you're like, look, Jesus changed me. You just want to shout it from the rooftop, and you want to help the people closest to you. And if they're just so against it, then you feel like you can't even be yourself at home. And that's like really hard. I was like beating him over the head with the Bible. I'm like, listen, this is what God says. And like, so it was overbearing. But one of my spiritual leaders, her name's Sheree Bertishaw, she's the founder of the Potter's House where my mom went, and she wrote a book, and it's called, and I tell everybody that's an unequally yoked marriage to read this book, and it's called Change It, Lord, Change Him or Kill Him. And don't physically kill your husbands, but please
don't. But basically in this book, she has the revelation of God saying to her, like, who are you? Like, I need to work on you before you try to work on him. And it's obviously easier said than done. I've read this book many of times. But as I read it, I realized that I was Cherie in this book. Like, everything that she said was just like my life. Every moment of her husband drinking, and how she was on fire for the Lord, and how she started ministries, and how she did all this stuff. And I'm like, is this book about me?
Is this an autobiography?
For real. And so it was just, I don't know, that was just a changing moment for me. I really did try to just be like, you know what? I don't have to always just talk about God. That is something that you do want to talk about. I always use the analogy of like, when you go try out a nice restaurant and you love it so much, obviously you go and tell everybody about it. Like, it's hard to keep that a secret. Like, you're like, you need to try this out. And that was the same way with me and the Lord. I'm like, I want everybody to try this out. Listen, I'm crazy, okay? But I'm crazy for the Lord. And so it was just a terrible roller coaster over the next year and a half. We did come close to divorce. And honestly, I just kept holding on to, you know, in 1 Corinthians, it talks about how the unbeliever can leave if they choose. But God calls us to remain in the relationship. And that obviously, if you're in an abusive relationship or, you know, any of that, obviously, to leave, you have that option to leave. But for me, I knew that God was calling me. And I knew that God just kept reiterating over and over again in my spirit, like, you're in this marriage to help me win his soul for the Lord. And God was the only way that was possible. Because I did not do anything right. People ask me for advice and I'm like, I don't have any because I didn't do it well. So,
well, I can definitely relate to that. I have shared on this podcast, and I shared it with you a little bit about how I've been struggling in my marriage, and we've just been through a really difficult hardship recently. And that is one of the reasons I felt led to start this podcast, because I started praying for my husband, and I was just like, change him. Why won't you change him, God? Do this, this, and this. Like, I have a list of things that you need to change him. And every time I prayed that, the Holy Spirit was like, what about this that you need to change? And I was like, okay. And I was just like, wow, I'm actually being an ungodly wife. And that's what radically changed my life. Like, I grew up in church. I did get saved young. I was like 8 or something. And like, I really truly like believed in Jesus and wanted to be about him. But then over time, you know, like when you do it that young, then you grow up and then you go through like difficult times and stuff where I did like stray. But then I was like, I have to surrender my entire life, my marriage, everything to the Lord. And that's when I was just like, a fire lit under me. And I was just like, I have not been the same since.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I totally get that, where you're just like, Lord, change him, change him. And then you're just like, oh, like how, it almost is kind of like, how dare I ask for you to change him when like I'm sitting here not trying to change myself, you know?
Exactly.
And I felt like the Lord told me, like, how am I, you have to heal, you have to change, you have to become a more whole person. Because if I change him, that marriage is still not going to be good, because you're still going to be not healed, in a mess. So,
which in that season, I took away so much. Like, you know, we know that God is close to the brokenhearted and those that are meek. And so in that, I learned so much, because I was just in a constant state of brokenness. Like, I never felt fulfilled. I never felt like, I was constantly having to depend on him every single day. Like, I need you to refill my cup, because this is draining. Like, this is heavy. And, you know, at this point too, like, I'm an early Christian. At this, like, I still consider myself a baby, but in this point, happened in 23, girl. Okay, yeah. Like, it's only been 2 years since I've been walking it out with the Lord. So a year and a half of that, I'm in a state of brokenness, all, like, from the jump. So it just kind of was that way for a long time, until I got to the point where my husband was drinking and all this, and I just kept praying for change, and I just kept praying for all this. Well, my husband got sick one night, and I looked at him, and he just was so sick, and I just lost it, because I was like, God is about to literally take him out. Like, I felt it. I felt it. It was just an understanding. I can't understand it, and I can't comprehend it, and I can't explain it. I just knew, like, God was trying to get Greg's attention, and I grabbed his hands. I said, get on the floor, get on your hands and knees. We're about to cry out to the Lord. And he's like, whatever, like, what? But I was like, I don't even care. Like, we're desperate for God to show up and show out. And I remember writing in my notes at that night, because I just knew that this was a pivotal moment. Again, pivotal. Again. This was just a life-changing, something big was about to happen. I knew it. And so I start writing, and I'm like, God, I need you. I need you right now to reveal yourself to him in a way that's unexplainable, that he can't question it. And so we open up our Bible and start reading, and everything that God said in this was just like almost directed towards him and his sickness, almost. And
which is very interesting, because that's what happened with you.
Yes, girl. Like, I'm telling you, some people are like, God, you know, don't talk that way.
No, he does.
He does.
Yes, he does.
You have to be open to receive that. You have to be be looking for God in those situations. And I
have
was.
faith that he will.
And he will,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And so he did the same thing. Well, the next day we go to the ER thinking that this might be just a little something, like whatever. And they're like, no, this isn't good. And I was like, oh my gosh, we found a little baby Jesus. Like, you know, those things that people put around everywhere. And I was like, I literally start bawling. We're crying.
In the hospital room?
Yes, in the hospital room. We're in the ER at this point. And they're like, no, you have a gallstone. And it's lodged. And so you're going to go into surgery and you'll be fine. The next day, we get moved to the actual ER or to the actual hospital, and they told him, they were like, no, we can't do surgery because of your condition. There's nothing that we can do because if we do, you're going to bleed out. And there's probably an 89% chance that you will pass away on the table.
Wow.
And so we're like, wait a minute. We thought we were just here for like a little remove his gallbladder, like whatever.
Just a little like tune up or something. Like, come fix this and we're out of here.
I told you, like, I felt this before it happened. Like, I was like, this is big.
Wow.
And so he's worried to death. He tells it now of like, he thought he was never leaving the hospital. He thought he was going to die in that room. And so, one of my best friend's dad, he's a very, like, he poured and watered seeds in my life. And so I just call him and I said, and Greg is very respective of him and just loves him and his family and stuff. So I said, can you come up here and not just pray for Greg, but pray with Greg? Because I feel like he's open. I feel like right now is the time. And so God orchestrated all that. And Greg gave his life to Christ in that hospital room. Okay. Amazing. That's a miracle in itself.
Yeah.
Within about 16 hours of that, the doctor comes back in and they said, your scans have come back and the gallstone is gone. We don't know where it is. It's like unlodged itself. And we don't know where it is. So you're good. You're good to go home. And
so he didn't have to have surgery or anything.
Nothing.
Wow.
Truly, the great physician worked in his life. I laugh and I'm just like, it was truly two miracles. Like, not only was your name written in the Lamb's Book of Life, but now you were saved by your health too, like whatever. And so it was just absolutely, like, he saw the miracle and he has been sober since that day. Well, before that, about a week before that, when we first went to the hospital. So over about 7 months now, he quit vaping. He comes to church with me. Every Thursday night, we have a Celebrate Recovery. And so we're big in that. He helps me with podcasts. He helps me with all the things that I do. Comes on Sundays and just, he's learning. Sometimes he's like, I'm still not up there with you. And I'm like,
it takes
progress is progress. And he means that, like, it hasn't taken over my whole life, you know? And I'm like, God works in mysterious ways. Like, you never know God's plan. Like, don't think that he will not radically, do something. So it's just been like, I'd say all of that is my biggest thing right now is he is a God of suddenly. He doesn't do it like it can instantly happen. You know,
you could be waiting forever, it feels like, and then it could just happen instantly, and you're like, wait, I've been praying for this forever, but I'm like shocked that it actually just happened instantly.
Absolutely. Like, your circumstances does not matter to God. It doesn't matter that you've been in this tunnel, because in his time, he's already eternity anyway. So like our timetable obviously can't be his. And so he just suddenly changed my life, like suddenly changed Greg's life. And, you know, we're learning together. I think one of the biggest things for me is we were unequally yoked for so long. I basically lived, I'm not going to say a single life, because that is by far, I never stepped out or anything like that. But like, I did what I wanted when I wanted. I never confided to my husband to say, hey, I'm going to spend this, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going out of town. Like, I just told him. And so in this last 7 months, it's now becoming, I need to truly try and give this to him. Like, I'm such a controlling person, but I'm trying to learn. He is supposed to be the headship of our marriage. He is supposed to be a spiritual leader. And I need to confide in him about these things and ask about certain things. I think so many times we get so big on that submit to your wife, submit to your husband, that it's like, I'm not good at submitting, you know, like who am I to submit? But it's like, no, that's what God calls us to do. And so that's something he's working on me right now.
Yeah. It's just being obedient to the Lord. Like, I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to submit to my husband. But it's like, if you think about it, like, no, I'm submitting to God. I'm obeying him, and I'm trusting him in that.
Exactly.
Yep. And it's hard. And especially that's hard for you when your husband was not saved. That's different. Yeah. So now you have to submit to him and have faith that he's going to be spiritually leading you and things like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, I'm big on progress, like any progress, one foot in front of the other. To me, I'm not a standstill person. Like, I want to grow. I want to get better. I'm big on personalities, and I just have that personality. And so, like, him just making the baby steps is enough for me. I'm like, absolutely. That's great. But, like, if I don't see any progress, I'm like, what's going on? You ain't made no progress in a few days. You know, so God is trying to work on that with me. It's like, it's still not on my time.
Yeah.
So.
That is hard. So how did you started your podcast before he got saved? What did he think about that?
I really don't remember too much. It was on a whim that I started my podcast. Yeah. Like I said, I hyperfixate on things. And so I kind of just thought this was a hyperfixation. So at first he was like, here we go again. Yeah. Because I jump into things and I'm like full force. I buy everything possible for it and I'm just there. And then I give it up. Yeah. And so at first he was like, here we go again, like whatever. But he still listened to every single episode. He still like, I would come home or something and I'd hear him listening. And so it was just nice. Like,
that's to sweet be able, that he's still supporting you.
He was still supporting me. And he really didn't say a whole lot. Like, as it grew, he was just like, he almost started bragging to people about it. And I'm like, Greg, like, don't do that. Don't do that. But you could see that he was almost proud. He didn't know how to be proud because, like, it was kind of going against, like, what we're arguing about and, like, what he's standing for. But at the same time, like, he was just proud that I was sticking to something, basically.
That's awesome. So, can you tell me a little bit about, like, how you, like, become a Christian and then you're just like, I'm going to start a podcast?
Well, I was working at my church already before I had really surrendered alcohol and stuff. When I busted my lip, I was already actually working at the church. So my mom works at the church and she's over like all the operations and stuff. And she was like, I just really need some help at this point, like in this point, because it was like our busy season where we had like Thanksgiving, Christmas, all this stuff where all these activities, and she has to help like set up and break down and just do all this stuff. And she was like, can you come help? And I was like, yeah. Well, I felt like such a hypocrite because like I would come in like hungover and all this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I was already working at the church, and when I went to a high school or a middle school camp, I was invited to go by one of my friends, Catherine, and she just saw something in me before I even saw it in myself. I wasn't even fully like ready to give my life to Christ, or I already had, but I wasn't ready to dive into ministry more so. Okay. Because this is about 2 months after I surrendered, but I didn't think I'm qualified to go to a middle school camp. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 2 months in. Okay. So I literally just did that. I fell in love with ministry. I came back from that trip and I went to my head pastor and I was like, I'm ready to work here. I want to work here. And he's like, okay, like this is crazy, but we don't really have something for you right now, like whatever. Well, then a few months went by and I found out somebody else was leaving. And I was like, I want their job. It was a communications director. I said, I want that job. And he's like, we'll see. Well, I'm going to pray about it, but there is something else that we're thinking about doing, whatever. It didn't work out. But he was like, I want you to be our social media manager. And I was like, okay. I was so disappointed in that. I'm not even going to lie. I was like, you think I can only run socials? Like, like, and listen, I'm not knocking it. It's a lot of work to be a content person. Okay. Like, I get it now. Yeah. But that was God orchestrating a whole new thing for me. And so in that, long story short, I do that for a while. We had a podcast at one point for our church, and it was for our students. Okay. And so one day I was just like, put my headphones on, playing with the equipment. And I was like, y'all, how fun would it be if there was a podcast and it was like Celebrate Recovery, basically, where we talk about testimonies and what God has done in our lives and X, Y, and Z. And I was like, I probably will name it like Praises. We'll say something like praises because we're praising God for what he's done. And then I was like, and as a podcast, I'll say on the pod. And I went home and I was like, I do not like on the pod.
Yeah.
And, girl, I'm not even, this is that hyperfixation. I can't turn it off. Do I have anything? No. But I'm like, I'm starting a podcast. And so I sat on that for a few weeks and finally I was like, okay, y'all, I got it. If I do start a podcast, it's going to be Praises in the Pod. And one day I'm laying on my couch. I had just finished college. I had went back and I just finished. And I also had just quit my corporate job that I had for many years because I felt God leading me to full-time ministry. Okay. And people thought I was crazy for that. But when God tells you something, you do it. And I kept hearing, and someone even told me for the last time, they said delayed obedience is disobedience. And I was like, I'm calling and quitting my job today. And so I did that. And so I was just in this period of like, I didn't have much going on. And I was bored laying on my couch. And God was like, I felt it. At this point, I didn't think it was really God. I thought it was just like something for me. And I ran down there and I recorded this episode. And it was awful, y'all. I wish I could delete it. Like, I wish I could delete it, but it shows the growth. And it also is me being very vulnerable. So
that was your first episode?
That was my first episode. And
you did it at the church?
I did it at the church. Okay. And then I was like, I did 2 more episodes at the church. The next episode was my mom's testimony. And then the next one, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a Q&A. Like, ask me your questions, whatever. It was a crash and burn dumpster fire. And then finally I told a little bit about my story. I didn't talk about my BC life. I talked more so about that 6 to a year leading up, but I never talked about my childhood or anything like that. And so after that, I went and talked to my youth pastor. It was his equipment. It was our church's, but it was like his for his ministry. And I said, y'all aren't doing the podcast anymore. Do you think that I could at least take the stuff home, set up a studio? I'm not moving it around. I'm not taking it places. I just want to set it up in my home and whatever. And he was like, yeah. And so that's where amazing. It started. Like, it was just like one thing after another. I was part of our media team already. Now I'm our media director at our church. And so I was able to use our cameras and the lighting and just all of this. So God just supplied all the resources all the way up. And then now it's like, you know, he's just provided people like donating and sponsors and just being able to sell merch and just supplying all the things. Like, we now have an editor. And so it's awesome.
That's amazing. So it's your podcast, but you have like a friend that comes on often, or is she a co-host?
She's a co-host. Yes. Like, Abby, do not think I'm trying to talk bad about you at all, girl. She's a co-host, but everything technically is my idea. Like, I don't really this is so bad, y'all. Like, please, Abby, don't kill me if you're listening to this. But like, I don't really consult with her about things. She just is a regular person that comes on and we talk about discussions or like talk about things, but like, she's not behind the scenes doing the editing or like talking with our editor or making the merch, anything like that. Like, she is a mom. She's about to be a mom of 2. Like, she's passionate about talking about God and Jesus and everything else. And we have the same exact background. Her parents were in addiction, or her dad was in addiction, not her mom. But she just had the same upbringing as me. And then we partied together. And so we're on this side of Christ together. So it just makes sense for me and Abby to like come together. She has such a great story on her own. And God, I started praying about it because I just felt like God was leading me to have a co-host once a month. And because I sometimes I'm like, I just hate talking to myself.
It is hard.
It's so hard.
It is.
I'm like, I'm not good at it.
Yeah. I felt like the Lord told me I've almost been doing this for a year. Next month will
Congratulations,
be a year.
girl.
Thank you. But in January of last year, I felt like he was telling me I needed to do this. And I was just like, okay, maybe, but like, I need to find someone to do it with. Yeah. So I kept putting it off. And then like, last October, he was like, no, you need to do it now. Like, I was on a walk and I came home and I was like crying to my husband. I was like, God just told me I have to start a podcast and I have to do it right now. And I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. I don't have any equipment, but I was like, like, I literally need to put this out in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, I guess I'm going to do it without a co-host or something. And I was like, how am I going to do that? How do you talk to yourself and then somehow you just do it?
It works.
Yeah.
And I mean, I went all the way up until last month. I've been doing my podcast for a year in August. And so I did it. I did one episode a month by myself.
Yeah.
I did every other week is a testimony. Then Abby comes on once a month, and then I do one by myself. I just got rid of my by myself episode. I can still sprinkle it in there whenever I want, but I just want people to hear the hearts of other women.
Yeah.
And so if I feel like God's been showing up and showing out and revealing so much, then I'll sit down and record an episode. Obviously, like, I'm not limiting that.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to really give people more of a space where they can tell their story and relate to other people.
That's awesome.
So that's just how it started.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm loving it. I don't really see an end in sight, and I've just been trying to be obedient, make sure. Something that I'm going through right now is, like, I'm actually preparing a message to go to a women's conference this coming week, and it is talking about, like, how God can give us these as to be an altar, to serve him, to love him, but sometimes our heart posture can get a little turned around and it becomes an idol. And so I'm very prideful. I'm still prideful now. God is still always going to work on that with me. That is something that I struggle with. But he's reminding me, like, this can't be an idol for you. To always. You mean,
like, your podcast?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
The podcast, just speaking in general, just everything. Like, that's just something I'm, like, constantly like sitting in, because there's so many women that, or men too, where it's like, we are gifted this from the Lord. We do have good things that come from the Lord, but then we focus on it so much. The thing and the main thing is not the main thing anymore. And that's Jesus Christ. And that's what I've been working on.
Idolatry is hard. I, like, last year went through, like, this idolatry Bible study. And I thought I had, like, no idolatry. And I was like, every single one, I was like, dang, I got that. I got that too. I was like, oh my goodness. So like, it is hard. And it's hard not to, like, even do that with your work. And I read that our hearts were made to idolize God. So it's so easy for us to idolize other things too. Absolutely. And to worship other things, because we were created to worship. So it's hard. You got to check your heart very often.
Heart checks regularly.
Well, this has just been such a joy, and I thank you so much for coming. Y'all, she lives in Warner Robins, and if you don't know Georgia, that is, like, I live in the Metro Atlanta area. That is not Metro Atlanta at all.
This is the suburbs, okay? I live in a rural area. If you are listening, you probably hear it in my accent. Like, I jump on the phone with people, and they're like, where are you from? I'm like, just middle Georgia.
So, like, she trekked up here with her mom to come. I did.
My mom is so crazy, y'all. Like, me and her are best friends. The scripture about the locusts, the Lord restores the years that were stolen by the locusts. He has done that with me and my mom. I just want to close that up and say that. Because my mom has her own ministry now that I also am the ministry director of. It's called Sisters of Faith, which is a transition home for women. And just, we're best friends. And so she's like, you're going where and doing what? And, like, I'm like, Mom, I have people come over to my house too. Like, I think she's okay. Like, I've listened to her episode. She's real. And she's like, I'll still just go with you.
No, that's perfect. You got to have your mama bear protect you.
You can't ever get these moments back. So,
and I think that's so amazing. Like, just, like, look at how the Lord did that. So that's the question I have. When did your relationship with her, like, restore? Was it before you got saved?
No. God started working the day that she went to the Potter's house. The day that she went to her discipleship. There was an instant change. Like, I'm talking about when we walked through the doors, me and my mom's relationship almost felt like instantly, like, it was going to be okay. I knew that it was going to be okay. And so, I mean, I wasn't saved at this point. I watched God work through her and did all this stuff, but when she came out, she just loved me where I was at. And she never, like, tried to shame me. She never tried to be like, you better get right with the Lord.
Yeah.
She just loved me where I was at. And so we just became best friends as soon as she came home.
Which that would be very easy to do. Like, I know I've struggled with this. A lot of people, especially like when they are baby Christians like that, they can get self-righteous. It's very easy to become self-righteous. Yeah. And she saw how like addiction and things like that can be like so bad. And so you don't, after you go through that, you don't want your daughter to go through the same thing. And so that's amazing that she just loved you like where you were at.
She did. I mean, she'd still have these comments like, you know, that was a lot. You just drank. Like, you need it. But it was never in a condemning, like, you're terrible. Like, it was like, Alexis, please, I want better for you. Like, whatever. But it wasn't like it was a normal conversation that we always had. Because sometimes, you know, it's like every time you get around somebody, that's what they bring up.
And then you don't want to be around
them. And so it wasn't like that. I mean, she just loved me where I was at. She started her ministry back in 23. So Sisters of Faith started that same month that I surrendered my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
girl,
crazy.
I'm telling you, God is so good to me. Like, truly, I wish I was a writer, because I would love to write down all the things that God has done in me and my mom's life. Just for me, not to like put out or anything, but sometimes I'm like, I forgot about that. Ooh, like whatever. Yeah. So it's just been good. Like, the ministry started then, and God was working on me then and orchestrated all of that. And so it was just.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Well, I really appreciate you coming
on
and trekking up all the way up here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
That's a lot of time, so I really appreciate it, and I just pray that her testimony blesses you guys.
Yes, Lord.
No one is too far gone. She's a living testimony of how much God can change your life radically.
Yep.
Can heal you, can do so many amazing things. So
absolutely.
I just thank you so much for coming, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Thanks. Bye.